Have you ever asked yourself, how could I use 1031 exchanges to actually extract way more listing opportunities? If that is the case for you, if you are excited about this, you're going to love this show, but you got to get a little through it because he's giving his cell phone out, and I'm going to give you $1 if you text him. Just kidding. You need to text this guy because he does like 70% of all the 1031 exchanges in the U.S., he and his company. So you're welcome in advance. Enjoy the show. Hey, have you ever asked yourself, how could I use something like 1031 exchange to actually unlock listings of people that don't even know that they can do it? Well, to help you do that, I got my guy, Russell Marsan. Give me some, baby. Let's go. 70% of the 1031 exchanges in the U.S. done by a little company called IPX. Russell, for the person that doesn't understand, just give them high level. What is IPX? What do you guys do? And then let's get into how this agent listening right now could actually use 1031 exchanges to unlock more listings.
Absolutely. And by the way, thanks for having me here, Tom.
Of course.
So IPX, we're the largest qualified intermediary in the nation, right? That's all we do is 1031 tax-deferred exchanges. And if somebody's going to execute an exchange, they have to use a qualified intermediary, right? Parent company, Fidelity National Financial, Fortune 500 company, highest level of safety and security. Personally, I'm the 1031 guru. Been doing it for 29 years.
You don't look that old, partner.
I'm old.
Have you been exchanged? Yes. No pun intended.
Well, my wife is going to exchange first. Maybe, but I told her she has to buy up. So,
all right. Well, she's going to exchange you for maybe a better version of you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you've been doing this for 29 years. Mm-hmm. If I can ask first, why do you think the vast majority of real estate professionals aren't looking at 1031 exchanges as a way, think about it, 144 million single family, detached, attached, duplex, triplex, fourplexes in the U.S. There's this number that's always floating around, 20 million of the 144 are owned by investors like you and I, and then a bunch are obviously a very small percent, but a bunch are owned by these giant organizations. Mm-hmm. Why do you think most people aren't using 1031 exchange as a hook, as a marketing message to figure out through their title exec who are all the people that own all these investment properties? Yeah. And maybe I could show them how to unlock that asset and do something better with it.
100%. I've been teaching this for 29 years to agents, right? It's a missed opportunity out there. I think the majority of agents, in my experience, they don't proactively pursue non-owner occupied type properties because there's this misconception that they're investors. They know more than I do.
Sure.
Right? So the majority of agents go after the owner-occupieds and leave them alone. It's a huge missed opportunity.
How many are there? Do you know the number in the U.S.? I haven't searched in a while, like properties that are owned by an investor.
Oh, I have not.
Okay. I know it's
it's huge.
The bigger thing is I would sit down with your title exec and I would ask the question, can we identify all the properties that are owned by LLCs, by trusts, et cetera, with the assumption that a lot of those are going to be investment properties. And if you know that number, right? You've been teaching this for 29 years. So I'm going to say, please look at the camera. Tell my friend watching, what are some of the insights you've learned? What are some of the best headlines? What are the best marketing tactics to cultivate these relationships versus, oh my God, they know more than I do, because we all know that's not the case.
Yeah, it's just a big missed opportunity. Anybody with assets, say you talk about the silver tsunami a lot, right?
Yes.
The baby boomers, they own assets, not just real estate, but they have obviously a stock portfolio or whatnot. Mm-hmm. They have a financial advisor speaking to them every year and repositioning their assets every single year.
Right.
And so they're making sure as their financial objectives change that they're placed in the right asset class. Mm-hmm. Nobody's doing that for their real estate, right? The Edward Jones of the world, they have nothing to do with the real estate, right? So therefore, most real estate investors...
Most of them don't want you to invest more in real estate. They want you to buy more of their stocks, bonds, et cetera, right?
Yeah. So what happens is people are complacent in their real estate holdings. They buy and hold the same real estate their entire life, and they think because it's gone up in value that it's done well, and so therefore they're just going to keep it. But the reality is, as somebody grows in age, their financial objectives change. It's a guarantee, right? And so, when you first got into real estate, you were trying to build wealth, so you bought single family. Fantastic way to build, appreciation, right? Yeah. Later on in life, you have a bunch of single family rental properties, you're retired. Okay, you're in an asset class designated for appreciation when you should be in something designated for cash flow or going passive, right? So they're in the wrong asset class. It's huge.
So obviously you do a lot of education on this, and you've spent your entire almost 30-year career doing this. What are some of the biggest misconceptions? What are some of the things that people assume, but they're not accurate? Like, can I sell my investment property and buy a second home? Can I, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can I sell my property? Like, what are all the misconceptions?
Well, that's a great misconception. Well, actually, let's back up before we get to that one.
Yeah.
There's a greater misconception, and it's in that term like kind, right? Such a misleading term, like kind.
What do you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
in a 1031 exchange,
Yeah.
you can buy and sell real estate, right?
Yep.
But the two properties involved in that exchange, the one you're selling and buying, they have to be like kind with one another.
Yeah.
Right? So there's this misconception. There's a visualization of, okay, well, if
Land,
I'm selling
land for land, duplex for
house
duplex, house for house.
not the
Yeah.
case, right?
Yeah.
It's not what a property looks like. It's how it's treated for tax purposes. Any business or investment property is like kind. That's a huge marketing opportunity for realtors, right?
Yeah.
They should
That's
solicit.
a video that people should shoot. Did you know?
100%.
Have you thought about selling that property, but you're like, oh, I don't want another one of the same?
Yeah, because if I own a 5-acre lot, right, I own it free and clear. I either inherited it or I bought it all cash.
Right.
I have no mortgage on it, so in my mind, I'm thinking it's not costing me anything.
Yeah.
The reality is, it cost me a lot in opportunity cost, right?
For sure.
Because it's a negative cash flow vehicle. Realtors should solicit those people and say,
Yes.
I can help you free up that stagnant equity. You got $400,000 of equity in that land.
Yes.
I can free that up and help you buy your first rental property. Right now you have income, now you have depreciation, et cetera.
So like kind doesn't mean, so I could sell that property and I can go buy a second home, but I then got to classify it as an investment property. And then there's some other tax rules around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the like kind thing. So you can sell raw land by single family. You can sell single family by multifamily, commercial, industrial, right? It's all like kind.
Yeah.
And therein lies the beauty of why 1031 is the greatest wealth building tool in the Internal Revenue Code.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the different asset classes in real estate, they all have different financial objectives. And so as your objectives change, the 1031 allows you to pivot, right, to that type of real estate that better suits that current financial objective, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna share something with my audience, and then I want you to tell them how you would organize it, market it, communicate to it, become the expert of it.
Okay.
So I think you should, like I said earlier, go to your title exec and say, let's figure out every single house in this marketplace, and then I want to segment them, obviously, by like, say, single family versus like multifamily, duplex, triplex, fourplex, right? And it could be more than that. You can enter into the world of the CBREs and the JLLs, which is like, 10 plus, 20 plus, 100 plus units. But if you just focus on the little stuff, I think you're going to find there's a tremendous opportunity. I say,
100%.
and I'll lead it, and then you like bedazzle them. I say, at the minimum, you should write them a handwritten note that just says, Dear Russell, congratulations on owning this fourplex now for 15 years. I assume at this point you probably depreciated it down to, next to nothing. You've done, all the cost segregation studies, etc. I look at properties like this all the time for clients like you. Would you like an updated valuation on the property? Would you like to know some of the properties that are trading off market in the area in case you ever wanted to exchange it? And by the way, if you need a great exchange agent, I have this friend Judy over at IPX. Here's her number. Reach out to her if you got more questions. I'd like a handwritten note.
Is that my
Something
dancer name, Judy?
we were talking about Judy from Vegas a minute ago. So yeah,
Okay.
I pay attention, Russell. But so, and I know there's 1,000 more things. So what else? So once they build the list, what are like all the best things you've seen agents do to extract those listings out of those 1031 exchange opportunities?
Yeah, so I've actually created postcard templates, right? They can go onto my website and download them and stuff, and the information's there, right?
What's
The
your
verbiage is there.
okay? Well, what's your website?
The website. So it's a www.ipx1031.com/Marsan, my last name, Marsan.
One more time.
www.ipx1031.com/Marsan, Marsan.
Cool. So they can just go get download,
They can download
free templates.
Absolutely.
Cool.
But the hook is, it's always, it's time to reevaluate your real estate. Right?
Yeah.
Because people hold it for so long, and so the messaging is, if the market's changing, because that's an honest statement anytime, right?
Sure.
The market's changing, maybe it's time to reevaluate real estate. And there's a postcard that speaks to raw landowners. There's a postcard that speaks to people moving out of state.
Yes.
There's a postcard that speaks to people that own multi-single family rental properties, like the baby boomers, right? So different types of concepts. So it's really just going after that demographic, because you're exactly right. If you ask a title rep, hey, what type of properties do agents ask for contacts to solicit, right? That's You have the owner-occupieds, vast majority of realtors, farming that.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it, the JLLs and everybody, the CBREs going after commercial, ag, all that stuff. But there's this middle ground. There's single-family rental properties or 1 to 4 units, right, as well. Raw land, right? Those are things not solicited, right, by realtors. They're just, there's no attention being paid to them. And it's an absolute gold mine. There's a question that every agent should ask every single client they touch. It doesn't matter what are they buying or selling. Ask them this question: what other real estate do you own?
Yes.
Ask them that question. And some agents are like, well, that's too personal. No, it's not. Right? My Edward Jones guy, he knows everything about me, right? Intimately, right? And so you need to position yourself as your client's real estate financial advisor, right?
Yes.
And you need to do financial analysis on their properties to make sure those properties are meeting their goals. And if they're not, you're going to help them list and sell them.
All right, I'm going to give you scratch that other letter I told you. So, I'm going to give you one instead. This is more personal. It's my brother-in-law, who happens to be one of the top surgery center sales brokers in the country. You know what he's done? So listen to this, my friend, listening. What he does is he basically writes him a letter, right, and sends him a package, and here's the information on your property, and here's what's going on. But here's the hook that he uses that gets the most phone calls. He's going to bug me for sharing this. Shout out to Colin. Here's what he does. He says, Russell, when was the last time someone took the time to reevaluate all of your lease agreements to make sure, A, you're at market rate, and B, you're not putting yourself at risk? If you would like, we do a free sort of risk and market rate analysis of your rents. All you need to do is click this QR code, send me a note, send me a text, and just say rents, and we'll do it for you. What he told me was when he started doing that, think about it, like, these doctors are busy being surgeons, right? They own these surgery centers. Right. There might be 2 of them, 8 of them, 20 of them. And eventually people start to retire and want to sell those assets. And he has been basically nurturing them now for like a decade. So every year he's doing a large number of transactions, big average sales prices, you can probably imagine, compared to like traditional sort of SFR business. Right. And it's all because he's just providing a service that person probably doesn't have. The broker that sold it to him has probably bailed and moved on to something else, right? The next big whale, as an example. Or the agent that sold him a bunch of those SFRs might not even be in the business anymore. Yep. So I really like that angle, but what do you think?
Yeah, that's basically you're describing my postcards.
All right.
Right.
All right. Well, podcast over.
It's time to reevaluate your real estate and connect with me for a free market analysis or financial analysis on your properties today. Because it's just a free analysis to help you to determine whether or not you're in the right asset class. Who wouldn't want that?
Exactly.
And nobody's paying attention to them.
What are the other misconceptions?
So you mentioned earlier about the second home vacation home, right? In a 1031 exchange, you can't buy personal use properties, right? It has to be business use properties. But the IRS created my absolute favorite revenue procedure back in 2008. It is Revenue Procedure 2008-16.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say, and my favorite IRS.
I'm a tax nerd. I have no life.
Okay, let's go.
This is exciting to me.
Share it.
I read this revenue procedure every night before I go to bed. It gives me very happy dreams. So it's a safe harbor. Yes. And they don't label a lot of revenue procedures as safe harbor, right? Because if they do, that means you're safe from them, which they don't like us to feel, right?
Of course. So
this revenue procedure is the IRS telling us, here is exactly how you can use a 1031 exchange to buy a dream home, whether it's primary, second home, vacation home. So here's the way it works. Sell your investment properties, buy your dream home with the 1031 for the first 2 years after the exchange. You have to treat the property 2 ways. One is you have to limit your personal use to 2 weeks a year or less, or 10% of the annual rental history. Now, if you're going there for maintenance purposes, that's not a personal use visit, right? So there's ways to use it for more, but still you have to limit your personal use.
I did all my maintenance over Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes. We're not recording this, right? So the second thing you have to show is income, but that's a crazy low standard. You only have to show 2 weeks per year of income on it.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah. So you literally, if you don't need the income from it, you're buying your dream home. Typically the last thing you want in your dream home is tenants anyway. Right. So you can buy it, take all your cash, don't have to pay any taxes on it from the sale of your investment properties. Buy your dream home all cash for the first 2 years, limit your personal use, find your best friend to rent it to for 2 weeks a year. After 2 years, do whatever you want.
So I knew the 2 weeks because my tax advisor has always reminded me of that. But I didn't know the 2 years. That's okay. Podcast over. I got exactly what I needed.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, guys. I have to go call my tax guy.
But that's a great question for
Yes.
realtors to ask their clients, right? In the next
Did
2
you
years.
know?
In the next 2 years, are you thinking of moving to another primary?
Right.
Are you thinking about buying a second home or vacation home anywhere in the United States, right?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, I can list and sell your investment properties now and accomplish those goals for you right now.
Dreamed about the lake house, the mountain house, the whatever,
Yes.
or the retirement property that's
Yes.
somewhere warm and you're someplace cold.
Yes.
Okay, so other misconceptions. Let's wrap it up with one more. What's one more big misconception that people don't get? And then we have to link up Brian in the show notes, his website. Okay.
Yeah, so not necessarily a misconception, but I think the biggest opportunity right now for realtors out there is to solicit baby boomers.
Yes.
That own single-family rental properties.
Yes.
Baby boomers, as you mentioned all the time.
Silver tsunami. Yes.
Yeah, silver tsunami. 20% of the population, but they own 41% of the residential real estate. It's actually a more skewed number than that because a lot of those baby boomers are married to each other.
Yes.
So it's probably 13% of the population owns 41% of the single-family residential income properties, right?
That's crazy.
That's a lot of single-family rental properties.
Yes.
If you are a baby boomer and you own a single-family rental property, you are absolutely 100% in the wrong asset class.
Yes.
You are. This isn't sales. This is financial analysis. This is math, and it's right 100% of the time.
Yes.
You're in an asset that is designated for appreciation when you should be capitalizing on cash flow and maybe even going passive.
Yes.
Right, where you want to go 100% passive. So
More like a triple net lease.
triple net lease, right?
Part of a shopping center. Or
Exactly,
something.
a DST, Delaware Statutory Trust, right? Those types of things, absolutely. And I'm telling you, it's not on their radar to sell, even though subconsciously they would love to because they're tired of dealing with tenants and they want to retire from it.
I'm either going to make you really happy or really angry. And either one is fine because Russell and I are friends. If I was a really smart person listening right now, you know what I'd be saying to myself? How do I get Russell to be on a podcast with me, to pop in and share like 10 insights that I can like then send all my clients? Or would Russell co-author one of my blogs that I want to become the person, who's using AI search with blogs?
Right.
How do they reach you?
Well, they can reach me. My cell phone is definitely the best way to reach me.
You're about to give your cell phone to a lot of people.
That's
I love
fine.
it. Okay,
That's
go ahead.
fine. I have
Let's
no
go.
life. I sit
8675309. His name is Jenny.
Yes. No, myself. Every Friday night I sit by the dining room table with a bucket of popcorn. I'm eating my popcorn, waiting for your call.
All right.
I have no life. It's all
Let's
good.
go.
So cell phone number is 530-755-8355.
This could be one of the reasons why, my friends, that his company, IPX, has 70% of all the 1031 exchanges in the U.S. I feel terrible that I don't know, so I'm going to be smart and I'm going to ask, what about Canada? How does it work in Canada?
So you can exchange U.S. for U.S.
Yes.
or foreign for foreign.
Okay.
You can't mix the two.
So I can sell a place in Mexico and buy a place in Whistler.
As a U.S. taxpayer, yes. And you would avoid U.S. tax by
Yes.
doing so, right? But you
Yeah.
can't mix the two.
Okay, can't mix the two.
Yeah.
Do you know the rules in Canada?
What do you mean the rules in Canada? Taxation?
The
No.
1031 exchange
Well, no,
equivalent?
because no, they don't. No, there is no equivalent.
Okay.
No.
All
Yeah,
right.
so
Just
it's
for-
just
shout out
avoid
for my
U.S.
Canadian
tax
friends.
as a
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah.
taxpayer.
I got you. I
yeah,
got you.
Yep.
All right. So as we wrap this up, Russell, first of all, very cool that you gave him the website. The website, again, don't say www. That does date you.
I told you I'm old.
It's IPX.
1031.com
IPX1031.com
/ Marsan, MARSAN.
SAN.
My last
and
name.
How many direct mail postcards do you have there that they're going to go download? How many letters and samples are they going to go
There's,
grab?
I think, 6 on there. A couple of them are dedicated to state because, once again,
Sure,
1031
sure.
federal, right?
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
big opportunity for realtors
Right.
to go after out-of-state owners as well, especially in states like California where they have the big exodus going on.
Yes,
But
yes.
all states experience,
Of
people
course.
leaving for various
Yes.
reasons. And it's a huge opportunity for realtors to solicit those people with the 1031.
Does somebody need to become a registered, 1031 exchange expert if they're a real estate agent?
You mean to have some kind of designation as
Yeah.
a realtor?
Yeah.
Not to get into our business, but just to have a
Yeah.
designation.
Yeah.
There is no designation.
Okay. All right.
But
it's
I will
it's
gladly-
but I got a guy. I got Russell Marsan, who's the
You don't
guy.
You don't have to be the
Yes.
expert. You just have to
Yes.
know my phone number. right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you being on the show. You know, you and I have been traveling around and seeing each other in a bunch of locations, and I'm like, eventually we've got to do a show to educate my friends. So if you have a question, I would text him the question too. If there's something that, you know, like we knew we had a finite amount of time to do the show today, you got to sell. I would text him, make sure you tell him who you are and all that stuff. Don't just ask the question. So kind of closing thoughts, like you've given a lot of insight here. They're all going to go out. They're going to build a database of customers that own investment properties. Probably going to look at them by the age group, you know, again, appreciation for SFRs versus cash flow, you know, and even if they own it and free and clear, it's still a pain in the butt if it needs to be rented out. You go cash flow 100%. Negative a little bit. Like it's better to be in a better asset class. Like that's just common sense. Are there any last insights before we let them go?
So just understand that don't be intimidated by going after these clients, right? Because they don't know. They're a retired teacher. They're a fireman. They're a policeman. They don't know financial analysis, and it's to no fault of their own. You know, I work with clients all the time that own single-family rental properties, and they think they're cash flowing 10% a year. Yeah. The reality is it's probably 2%. Yeah. Right. So you know this financial analysis, it's math. Yeah. Right. People that are not thinking of selling their properties after you do the financial analysis with them are now wanting desperately to sell their properties.
Is there a calculator on that website that an agent could use? Is this something we're going to call Jeremy Davis over at Palm Agent and say, Jeremy, we have a new calculator for you?
We have a capital gains calculator on my website as well. Absolutely. We have all kinds of tools. Our newsletters are phenomenal. Just all kinds of stuff on there.
I would take all of his newsletters and I would just put them into ChatGPT or Perplexity and say, rewrite these as if they're coming from me and then post them on your blog. Right? That's a really good idea.
100%. Should I give the email address or no?
I think they have your cell phone. That's more than enough.
That is more than enough.
My audience is going to be aggressive. All right. So Russell, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Give us some feedback in the comments. You know, did you enjoy this? Are you going to follow him? Are you going to text him? Let us know. And thank you so much for just being a part of my community, being who you are. I'm always thinking about you. And I promise to do more shows and continue to make a difference. Keep moving forward, my friend. And you, buddy, thank you so much for being on the show. All right. Take care.